description, come up and refine it and refine it and refine it until we can all agree on it.
Here's what I would add as your manager, is that I do think work needs to be put into it. I think we need to do a nice inventory of what we've got, what it's going to require to maintain, to program, especially events. I do think that needs work. We certainly could do that over the next year so that we get a handle on the description and the type of person that would fit the bill. I will say this, if you put this number in this budget this year, you will have Parks and Rec Board wanting this position filled this year. I'll promise you.
Yep.
That is what will happen. If you don't put it in the budget, what you can have assurance of is that we'll work hard to try to make sure that we know exactly what we need, and by the next fiscal year, that may be the time that you want to put the money in the budget. That would be my position.
But what message are you sending Parks and Rec, who are already ending they want support, and now we're going to say, no, I would rather see us put the money in the budget, and we have no deadline when that position has to be filled, but we need to send a message to our volunteers that, hey, we are budgeting the position. We may not spend the money this year, maybe the end of the year before we decide how we want to reorganize or what we want to do. But I want to send a message and support these volunteers. They're exhausted. I can tell you from talking to them, they have had enough. And we work these, and that's not the only thing they volunteer for. Everything around here is volunteer in this town, and you're using the same volunteers for every task. And I want to send a message that we support the volunteers. We know they're wore out. I can tell you as a volunteer myself, I'm wore out on some of these other things. So these people do it more than I do. They're doing it six days a week, and if they're not on the Flower and Bridge, they're on the trails or here. I would like to send them a message that yes, we support the position. It may take to the end of the year to get a consensus on how we want to propose it, but we need to let them know that they're not going to have to do this forever.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we fund half of it, because we're not going to, would be high, and that gives us half of the year to finish doing the research, make sure we've got the job description like we want it, and even if you decided today, yeah, well, okay, let's do this, you're probably going to be a couple of months finding anybody anyway. Let's put it off till we do it in the spring of the year next year.
I'll compromise there, but I want to send these volunteers, because it's just enough's enough. They've done the town's job.
The number we've got in here, I think we need to take a good look at it too, because I think we may be a little long on salary, but we're leaving out some things like they're going to want a vehicle, and what do we, there's some other things in here. So I'd say where are we now? At 85? I'd say we.
No, not
what was
85.
it? Huh?
No.
What was the number?
No, pre-benefits it was like 70 something. Hold on.
Okay, pre-benefits, after benefits.
Yeah, he had 80 total,
including benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's say 40, and with the idea that we do it in the spring of next year.
Right. But I just.
And that'll leave a little extra in there if you do it.
But
if you do it like the third quarter, then or the fourth quarter, then you've got they've left a little money in that account for, because they're gonna need stuff. They're gonna need.
Oh, I understand. I just want our
radios, ATV or something. It's gonna bring other things with it.
Right. Well, I just want a commitment that we're going to take it over and let these volunteers, because like I said, the number of them starting to dwindle. They're burned out.
Yeah.
But that's something I wanted to point out to you. The numbers on this page.
Which page on?
The 138.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where are you?
Okay.
Page 7.
Yep.
Page 7 still,
Right.
under salary.
138.
Okay. Now, the part-time you've added back in is 13.5.
Right.
Correct, Sam?
I put 13.
13.5 is what was there. Why did we only go with 13?
I was trying to save some money there.
Okay.
Oh, man.
That part-time needs to be that full 13.5.
All right.
Okay, now, the 138,600 is what was originally manager recommended.
Right.
The department request was 81.7. Now, that included the part-time, the 81.7. So you take the 13.5 from that, and it left the 68. Okay, they had 67.2 before, and then the 13.5. So the number of the 138, adding the Park and Rec Director position, which supposedly was 80,000, isn't reflected in that number. That's only a $47,000 increase over what was requested, not 80.
Good point, yeah.
I mean, what you're seeing there doesn't reflect $80,000 increase for a Parks and Rec Director.
So the
These are
138,
It reflects a,
It reflects a $47,000 increase over the current salary for Parks and Rec.
So Parks and Rec salary now includes
Melody,
Melody, Andy,
and
and then the part-time.
part-time, okay.
yeah.
yeah.
I was thinking we were gonna hire a Parks and Rec director for 138.6. That's
No.
gonna ask where the application was.
But even the 138.6 is wrong,
Yeah, the 138.6 is short by 30-something, 30,000.
but yet in the original presentation, it said it allowed 80,000 total for the Parks and Rec Director position.
Right.
And that's not reflected by this number.
So basically, will I just leave this number the way it is, or reduce it down 7,000?
Well, if you're only gonna do it for the 6 months,
Right,
then I would reduce it some.
right,
And I would put the Parks and Rec Director position as effective January 1, 2019.
Right.
That puts a 6-month delay built into it. And after that point in time, you could advertise if we're ready.
and it would still be months before somebody
But
came
not,
in.
you don't have to,
You
if we're
advertise
not
it.
ready.
With the current year expenditure, let's look at the 17, is 61,664. What is the change in staffing, without considering the Parks and Rec Director or the
Right.
part-time position? Is there any change? Doesn't seem like it, right?
Well,
61 covers Melody and
Yeah, that's
What
what I'm
else?
saying.
And
So if it-
Melody and Andy, the two.
So then if we're adding a
Okay.
part-time position, which we've now line itemed at 13.5, then the change in
1,664.
yeah, 67,200, whatever we add to that is for the Parks and Rec, right?
right,
So if we want to take half of $80,000, if that's what we're saying,
Yeah,
then we're adding 40 to 67,200,
well,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
mm,
107 too.
Where
That'd be
would the
correct.
rest of the
Yeah.
salary? There's COLA, I mean,
Right.
Sam's gonna have to address the 2%, but I mean,
Right.
irrespective of that, we're adding 40,000 to what we have right now,
right,
Okay,
if that's what we're gonna do.
right,
yeah.
yeah.
Looking at under the current budget and the preliminary budget, that
Right.
would have been about a $71,000 increase, which still didn't even add up.
No,
So,
no.
So we're,
but I'm looking, for a preliminary budget, I'm looking at what the department actually recommended, they requested, and what was added, and those numbers just didn't add up to that 138 to allow 80,000, or even, that's post benefits.
Well, if
but
we
I'm
add-
tired of that.
What
if
should
we
be our
add
new
40
numbers?
to the 67, that gets us at 107.2, and you take that from the 138 preliminary budget here, it gets you down as a reduction in the
Right.
preliminary budget of 31.4.
But is that correct? Because you were saying the 138 only gave us 47 for the position.
I don't think it did. I don't think
So-
that's a correct assumption.
But what Steve's explanation was, is this 138 had 47,000 for the Parks and Rec. Is
Right.
that correct, Steve?
I think
Well, you look at the part-time number of 13.5 plus the 67.2.
Now, the part-time
And that's
person's underneath that.
80,700.
Say that again.
I'm
13?
looking at what was proposed to us
Right,
versus what's here. The
Okay.
67.2 and the 13.5 is
Right.
80,700. The
Right.
department requested 81,700.
Right,
The manager recommended 138, which was supposed to be almost 80,000 for a Parks and Rec director position. It didn't.
right.
So we still have to fool with a total of the two,
Yeah, I was adding the other two.
13.5 there,
Mm-hmm.
and add that on that second line. Okay, the first
That's on the
line,
second.
John's right there.
Right.
If you're only gonna go half of the 80, go to the 40.
40.
Yes,
And add it, that'd be 107,200.
that's correct.
So
Yes.
John's right there.
Yes,
So that new line of 138,600 should be 107,
200.
I mean, 107,200.
Right,
And we have to somehow show that Park and Rec director position separate on your line. You can't just lump them together because you got the other two full-time employees there, Sam. You'll have to show Park and Rec director effective January 1, 2019. And for only 40,000 for the rest of the year. Now, that's still a 0.5%. So next year, if we fund it fully, are we gonna have to increase taxes again another 0.5 cent, which is back to Kevin's discussion earlier.
right.
We're gonna find somewhere to cut next year.
Next year's a reevaluation year.
Yeah, that's right, a reevaluation year.
So we ought to get more revenue based on higher property value. And may even be able to reduce some,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which we've done.
And we're gonna go for grants and other
Yeah.
things that could
Right.
reduce some of that debt
Right.
service, so.
Yeah, maybe we could get, maybe there's a grant somewhere for a Parks and Rec director, we could come up with.
I would hope, but I don't
Shannon?
think so.
Like I said,
Town manager, sir?
Well, the part of, they don't fund salaries. It's usually facilities. So as far as drawing on the part of grant for salaries, you wouldn't be able to pull in for that.
Well, there's other opportunities, maybe.
Possibly, I don't want to increase, I don't want to facilitate false
I
expectations.
understand.
Yeah, but it could be.
But I'm glad you
Possible.
mentioned that, John, because that brings up a really important issue.
time to take a break, is that your issue?
Well, if y'all want to do that, that's great, but we definitely need to talk about a part of grant. We need to get that application withdrawn if we're gonna do what we're gonna do with Boys Camp Road property. We need to withdraw it before it's approved.
Okay, I agree. We can
And-
discuss
and
that.
So we need to actually make a decision on that issue.
Have that on next week's special meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not on this agenda. Yeah, and
I
as
don't-
I
I don't know
remember
how
Ron's,
close
remember Ron gave us a calendar of that. It doesn't seem like it's, that decision needs to be like today or something.
Well, no,
We have a little bit
We
of,
don't want to accidentally wait and it get approved and
right.
all that.
All right,
so-
so we'll put that on the next agenda.
For next year's.
All right, so we're gonna take a
5
break?
minute break.
Okay.
All right, we're recessed for 5 minutes here.
Thanks, sir. I'm glad you mentioned grant, John. It made me remember that.